Welcome to This Must Be Heard, a recurring podcast featuring discussions of Delaware County Community College's events, achievements, and initiatives. Today our hosts Sam Briggs and David Scanlon talk with our guests Richie Richardson and Melissa Morris of the DCCC Theater Department about the upcoming production of Romeo and Juliet. But first, here's an excerpt from the play. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show.
If I profane with my unworthiest hand this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. My lips, two blushing pilgrims ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss.
Pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much, which mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that pilgrims' hands do touch, and palm to palm is holy palmer's kiss.
Have not saints lips, and holy palmers too?
Aye, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer.
Oh, then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray, grant thou lest faith turn to despair.
Saints do not move, though grant for prayer's sake.
Then move not, while my prayer's effect I take. Thus by thy lips my sin is purged.
Then have my lips the sin that they have took?
Sin, from thy lips, O trespass sweetly urged, give me my sin again.
You kiss by the book.
You're listening to This Must Be Heard. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Now let's join Sam Briggs and David Scanlon's interview with Richie Richardson and Melissa Morris.
Hi, and welcome back to This Must Be Heard. My name is Sam Briggs, and I'm here today with my co-host, David Scanlon.
Thanks, Sam. I'm happy to join you today for this episode.
Me too. And today, we have our two special guests who are playing Romeo and Juliet respectively, Richie Richardson and Melissa Morris.
I'm glad to be here today, Sam.
Hi, I'm excited to talk with you guys.
Me too. All right, so we're going to discuss our experiences being in the show and why other students should participate. So, we're going to start us off by asking Richie and Melissa, who are you playing in the show?
Thanks, Sam. So I am playing Romeo, Romeo Montague. He's a dreamer, he's a lover, and these are all qualities that lead to him getting into some hot water. Yeah.
All right, and Melissa, who are you playing in the show?
Thanks, Sam. I am playing Juliet Capulet. Unlike Romeo, Juliet is more of a thinker. She is always thinking things through. She has a troubled background. Her family isn't very attentive towards her, which kind of made her this way. But when she meets Romeo, he's kind of the light in her life, and she's allowed to be herself and go with the flow and just be herself with him.
Oh, very nice. And also, my co-host David also happens to be, and me and David also happen to be in the show. Who's your character, David?
Well, Sam, I am a part of something called the Ensemble, which is a group of supporting actors that complement the two leads and the other large roles. I take up three smaller roles. Peter, who is a servant to the Capulet side. Shout out Juliet. I am also Gregory, who is another servant of the Capulet side. And then I am a chief watchman who is in the end of the play. For you, who are you? Who are you in the play, Sam?
Yeah, I happen to be in two roles, well, if very minor. My most notable role is Romeo's best friend, Balthazar, who tells him some very important news. I don't want to spoil anything, but he tells him some very important news about Juliet. And I'm also in the ensemble. I'm mainly a Montague guard with Romeo, Benvolio, Mercutio, and another Montague guard played by Adrian. who mostly just there, just hanging out, being like this comic relief, especially in the beginning.
Nice. Richie and Melissa, you two are the two leads with a lot of lines and in a lot of the play, obviously. How did you guys prepare for each of your roles?
Thanks, David. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet, it's a pretty chunky play. There's a lot of lines, especially for us two leads. In order to get these lines seared into our brains, we were cast ahead of anybody else in the production, so we had more time to memorize everything. Um, uh, we have different techniques to help remember the lines, like flashcards or going over them with friends and family. How about you, Melissa?
So you summed it up pretty well. The way that I prepared the character, Juliet is probably one of the biggest female roles of theater altogether. And I knew this going into it, that a lot of my ideas for Juliet have already been done before. So I refused to watch any Romeo and Juliet production while I was preparing for this role. So that way I didn't get caught up, I didn't overthink, I didn't get like paranoid about doing poorly because of another actor's character choice. I just wanted to play Juliet how I believe she should be played.
Oh, it's very smart. I like that idea. Just being yourself on stage. All right. So for our next question, how did you learn like the language of Shakespeare? Like, was it hard, or like how did like our director like lay it down for us?
Thanks, Sam. So, Shakespeare, while it is English, it's not the same English that we use today. It's got very heightened and florified language. It can almost feel like another language. So, in order to kind of understand what exactly we're supposed to be saying, we have special scripts. On one side has the lines that we're going to be using in the original Shakespearean English. On the other side is a more modern translation, so we're able to understand what it is that we're meaning and what we're portraying in the moment.
All right, Melissa, I'm going to follow up with a question for you.
Mhm.
As an audience member who does not have No Fear Shakespeare, that is the book we use to translate the lines for us, how do you get the audience to understand what you are saying on stage?
Well, David, our director actually taught us that in order to allow the audience to fully understand what we are saying, we have to treat them as if they are 5-year-olds. And that's not in a derogatory way. That's in we have to overact, because there are some words that we don't use today. But if we overact a certain emotion, they can correspond that emotion with what the word might mean. I believe that Shakespeare theater is actually more related to musical theater than contemporary theater, in that aspect that we are overacting and it's very campy, and it's just that's how we get the audience to fully understand that emotion.
Very nice. So, next question for you, Melissa. So, I it turns out you're also the role for the fight captain. Can you explain to us what that role is?
Of course I can, Sam. So, yes, I am the fight captain. And basically, as fight captain, I have to lead all of the actors that are in these fight scenes through what is called um, a fight call, which essentially before every rehearsal and performance, I have to go with these actors through a fight call where basically we run through the fights through different variations of speeds, going from slow to fast. And that is to make sure that all the actors are warmed up, that we're being safe while also giving the audience the best performance that we can.
Richie, I have a follow-up question for you. You are involved in numerous fights throughout the play. How do you capture the fighting feeling on stage while also being safe for the audience?
Yes, David. So, stage combat, in order to make it look real, there's a lot of tricks. In order to keep it safe, we have our wonderful fight captain, Melissa. But in order to make it look real, some of our tricks include the reaction. So when I get hit, I'm not actually getting hit. We don't ever actually make contact. But in order to make it look real, I've got to have a reaction when I'm punched. So instead of just like no reaction, if I'm punched, I got to be like, ugh, and really sell it to the audience. Another thing that we do to make it look real is what's called a nap. A nap is the sound that a punch or other hit would make. Since we're not actually making contact and we don't actually want to hurt anybody, we have to make that nap a different way, which could be a clap, could be either the person doing the action or receiving the action would kind of cup their hand and slap themselves on a nice meaty part of the body in order to make that noise. And finally, a lot of it is just in the angle. What looks realistic in one angle will just, you can clearly see nothing is happening in any other angle.
Wow, that is really interesting. All right, so before we start wrapping up, does anyone have any final thoughts? Starting with you, Richie.
Yeah, this has been such a great experience to be a part of. I'm so glad that this was able to be my last performance at DCCC.
I want to shout out our stage manager, Evelyn. She has done an amazing job stage managing. Stage managing is a very difficult job in theater. And I want to tell the audience who are listening right now to buy your tickets to see Romeo and Juliet. You can buy your tickets for June 5th through the 8th. All shows are starting at 8 p.m. So go buy your tickets.
I would like to follow up, Melissa, and give a shout out to our director, Professor Stephen Smith, here at Delaware County. Awesome guy. He was very, very helpful in the whole process. This is the first show I've ever done in my entire acting career. So I've never done theater before this. It was a great show to be part of for the first time here at Delaware County and the last time as well. But I'd like to give a shout out to him as he pushed me to join this, and I'm really glad that he did.
All right, I would like to follow up on David and say I'm really grateful. This is my very first performance with the DCCC Theater, and I would like to have a shout out to our other director, our co-director Sarah. She displayed great leadership and really helped us out like how to improve the performances and the blocking and delivery of our lines on stage, and was also very forgiving whenever we had to be absent for a bit. I would like to thank my co-host David Scanlon for being here with me.
I've enjoyed co-hosting with you today, Sam. Thank you for having me again.
No problem. And I would like to thank Richie and Melissa for joining us for today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you all listeners for joining us today. And once again, be sure to be there at Marple campus from June 5th through the 8th to see the show. And we're out.
You've been listening to This Must Be Heard, brought to you by the New Media Lab and the Office of Athletics and Campus Engagement. Today's hosts and producers were Sam Briggs and David Scanlon. Our guests today were Richie Richardson and Melissa Morris. Our co-executive producers were Lushonda Stevens and Raymond Porras. Lushonda Stevens edited our episode, and Sarbjan Ozgen prepared our title cards. Victoria Colbreth and Samuel Larson designed our cover art. Indigo Frazier composed our theme music, and I am Angel Young, your announcer for this episode. Special thanks to the Director of Athletics and Campus Engagement, Allison Gleason, and our faculty advisor, Professor Maria Boyd. If you have an interest in participating in the New Media Lab, contact the Office of Athletics and Campus Engagement, or reach out to us on Instagram at DCCC_New Media Lab. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks again for listening.